getting your face up there.
Hey, we are getting our face out here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Marketing Happy Hour. My name is Dr. Christopher Vogelmann with Maximize Your Media, our digital agency where we help people with Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram ads, as well as Life Beyond Practice, which is our coaching program for doctors who want more free time, freedom, and fun to do what they love to do. And with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host,
John Paduchak. Hey, how you guys doing today? So I'm John Paduchak, and I work with live video, and johnpaduchak.com is my main site, as well as our digital agency, Targeted Net Solutions, where we work with social media and live video predominantly. So, hey, it's great to be here. Good to see you.
Here we are. We have made it again for our Hump Day Happy Hour. And for those of you who may be unfamiliar with us, we tend to look at the news and views that you can use with regard to marketing. And today we are particularly focused on how to overcome your fears of going live.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different fears. John has his 5 top fears. We're just going to go over a couple of those and see what we can do. My fear was having bad lighting. And so I had to boost everything up on a couple of boxes and books because there was light shining in my face as if I was being scanned by a UPC scanner at Walmart.
Pretty much. Except it wasn't bad, the sunlight.
It's the angle of the sun. I mean, I love natural light, but at this time of day when we go live, I can change my screen and the shades to have different angles. And no matter what I do, it's pretty bad. In fact, I'm losing my voice right now, which is terrible. You may have to carry us through this.
No, that's all right. I'll help out with that. And I've had, kind of the same problem, interestingly enough. And where now on the East Coast, it's getting darker earlier. I haven't shifted around or added any extra lights in the room that I typically broadcast in. And one of the challenges that I'm having is I've only got one light, and I used to get a lot of fill-in from the windows over here on the right-hand side of me, which, lit everything nicely. So now what I've done is I've had to add my screen to the back to reflect right back a little bit and trick things out. I've got my wide-angle camera, which brings in a little bit more light, thankfully, and I've got backlighting behind this. So
see if I
work decently. It's not perfect, but it's not bad.
Yeah, if I do that, your screen is big.
Yeah, it's quite big.
Actually, that's not bad. That actually was pretty good.
No, it looks kind of nice.
I like the picture. I like the picture. Yeah, I like the picture over your left shoulder too.
Well, thank you. That's a nice little Boston photo that used to be
Boston.
Or painting of Boston that used to be my my mother-in-law's.
Wicked.
Yeah, wicked cool.
Wicked awesome. Hey, so one of the things that we were talking about the advantage. I guess first we should touch on the advantages of going live. One thing is just extending your reach and becoming known as an authority within your area, and really finding your audience as well as attracting your audience to you.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, above all that is the know, love, and trust factor, which we talk about all the time, and the fact that you build such a warm relationship with people because it's almost like you're meeting them live and in person, even though you're not. And that, I think, is really one of the biggest advantages to going live over anything else. It just gives people the warm fuzzies about you. They actually get to meet you before meeting you in person. And people do business and work with people that they know, like, and trust. And so it gets you over that line.
Oh, boy. Now it's my sister. My sister is trying to reach me. What is wrong?
I know. It's been one of those days we've been like both.
The joys of going live. Oh, my gosh. You have to tell her that we're live now.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. But that's one of the tough things. Now they make it so hard to kind of turn off all your notifications.
I got rid of the phone one, by the way. I finally figured out how to get rid of the phone one. That was my fear, is that somebody would be phoning me each and every time. Of course, now she's acknowledging to me that she will not be messaging anymore because
thank you.
She's sending a message. Yeah.
Sure.
So she's relatively fearless, by the way, my Michelle, when it came to going live, because we started going live back in March, I think it was.
We made her on quite a few times.
And she was on a number of times, even from the park, walking her dog, doing all kinds of. amazing things. And her biggest problem was no sound. So
Yeah.
I remember that. And in fact, a lot of people have a fear. One of the big fears is the technology. We talk about that the technology, the platforms, how can you make sure your sound is on, that your messages are off, different things like that. A lot of people are worried about interruptions, which, by the way, will always happen no matter how careful you are.
Yeah, there's almost nothing you can do about that. And there's no real reason to be fearful or challenged by it. Just put your face out there and do it, because there's always going to be something that pops up. Even people that we see that have had years and years and decades of experience of doing webinars and stuff, right? Boom, up comes their Facebook alerts and, you know, everything else while they're doing webinars. So, I mean,
Or if people, they'll show their screen and they'll show the page of the group that they're referencing, or maybe they're going to be showing the
upcoming EV messages
and advertising, whatever it is in Business Manager, and up pops a message from somebody, and they just quickly shut that down.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to catch everything. There's just so many things.
So speaking of the fears, we're talking about, like, one of the things that people are very concerned about is showing their face. You mentioned that a number of times, that people are afraid. And I think it really has to do with, if you don't want to show your face, we've talked about, actually, we're going to talk even more about it in weeks to come, about the idea that you can actually do screen shares. Actually, why don't you talk about that a little bit? I think I'll see if I can share something here in a moment.
Sure. One of the best steps to getting used to doing lives, I mean, there's two really great ones. One of them is getting a buddy to do them with you, but the other one is sharing your screen or sharing slides and talking over them. And then once you get to that point, you can put up a small U, like you're lecturing in front of a big, you know how they do with the lectures, like you're lecturing in front of a big room. You see you over here on the side with the slides, you know, all up big. So that's kind of the next step. And then the final step is just getting on there.
I mean, I'll show you one example, just a quick, brief thing, which is I can show you. You can have a choice. Your choice is you can show tabs of whatever browser that you're currently broadcasting in. We're using StreamYard, which is one of our favorite apps. You could show your calendar, for example. You could show any number of things. You could show a window of Keynote, anything else. I'm going to just show you briefly, if you can take a peek here. I can actually open Slack and show you my Slack from a group that I belong to called Wandering Aimfully. And there are private messages and other things like that. I don't want to give away everybody's private stuff, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see how you can go through this and actually do a demonstration if you want to, and your face doesn't even have to be on the screen.
No, but the beauty of it is we do have the option to do it both ways. You can eliminate you and just show the screen, and you can have like a little mini you while you're delivering the message along with the slides.
I mean, it can be a mini you, but not a mini me.
Yeah, so it's always one of those things. It's like most people's fear of public speaking or being on stage, being in front of a huge group. We're all nervous. I mean, even those of us, I've spent 20 years doing financial seminars in front of large groups of people, and we're all nervous about that stuff. But to be able to just put that, you just have to kind of feel it and do it anyways. You know, you're always going to have those butterflies of getting on stage. I don't know anybody who doesn't.
Yeah, for me, if I'm speaking in front of a group of maybe 500 or 1,000 people, it usually takes me easily, I would say, about 3, possibly even 5 minutes to calm down enough in terms of butterflies and everything else. The good news is most people don't see that. They don't recognize it, but I can feel it until such time as I kind of feel like I'm in flow or get into the groove, as Madonna.
Right. So, I mean, this isn't as hard as that. I have a hard time speaking in front of a large group. Yeah. I mean, I've done it many times. I have tremors, so I visibly have issues. The great thing about speaking, and I mean, I do some very large webinars, huge groups here, but I don't have those challenges because you can't see my hand shaking, you can't see my head shaking. I'm a level removed from it. So this is easier than speaking in public, in my estimation. So it's not as hard as that, but it's like that. So
I think it is and it isn't. I actually find this I find it a lot easier,
Mhm.
except for the fact in the back of my mind, there's always this fear. This is being recorded for posterity because we're on YouTube, we're on
That's true.
Twitter, we're simultaneously broadcasting to several groups and pages on Facebook as well. And the only thing that's missing actually is Instagram and maybe Twitch. Well, Twitch, we know that why, because we're
Going there.
good. Twitch would make you twitch.
Yeah.
So
It
this is what I was trying to avoid earlier with lighting, only it was on my face. As my hand goes by, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, so it's funny what a challenge. Different things will pop up right as we're going through these things. Like yesterday, you and I were talking about your microphone. Trying to get your microphone adjusted because it's so heavy and it wants to flop one way or the other way.
I have it, because I had it to the point where we found a really good position for the microphone deals with equipment, which was coming down actually from this angle, which was great. But then as soon as I realized I had to get the light off my face, I had to elevate everything. I've got a box and 2 large books. They weren't Gutenberg Bibles, but they were big enough to be. And I had to aim the microphone up this time. So
yeah, and you ended up standing.
Well, I'm standing too, which I don't mind because I've been sitting way too much lately. Yeah. But then I've got this stupid pop filter, which is gigantic. But by the way, I saw one of my podcasting and business coaches using a pop filter this large on his Heil microphone. So I don't feel as stupid only because I saw him doing it.
That's good. So, the thing is pretty huge.
Yeah. Well, Mike Phil Same has this nice little one which fits on, which I liked it. It was the same color as the Heil, so it's kind of a gold color, and it looked very elegant. But what I'm realizing is with the Heil, I have to position my microphone possibly like this and turn it towards me to get a better sound, probably 2.5, 3 inches away. Did that change the sound at all or no?
Yeah. Much richer, much better.
Because I think it's omnidirectional. That's the problem. It's almost like you want a unidirectional. No, this is unidirectional. The other one is omnidirectional. This is better now.
And I'm in a spot now. It's not where I usually do my broadcasts. Typically, I've been doing them here for a little bit. But I'm actually
now.
Huh?
There's no garage door behind you?
No, there's a garage door behind me actually.
Oh, okay.
But where I usually do them, I have more of a studio set up with more lighting, and it's just we're in a process of doing some work in there, and
do you have a completion date for that process?
No. You know how that works sometimes.
Or doesn't work.
I'm hoping it'll be all completed by Thanksgiving. I got a couple of different areas that I'm.
Are you going to be cooking a turkey there as a demo? Or?
No.
You don't have a kitchen in place?
No. I don't have a kitchen for a cooking show.
Well, yeah, my wife does, but that's another story. So.
Yeah,
I mean, most of the time she just does it on Instagram, which is super easy because then with Instagram you just position the phone. Sometimes what we do, we tilt the phone down over the food that's being cooked on the stove. The only problem is steam sometimes rises up and fogs up the camera, which is back in here. Yeah, and so that there always are challenges whenever you're broadcasting, but you just simply accept the challenge and move on. We once had the entire Instagram cooking show for Mama Maggie's Kitchen. I mean, temporarily, completely out of order because I tipped over the tripod. The phone fell down, face down to the floor. But recovery, see, that's one of the things that we talk about a lot about going live is mindset. And recovery is everything. They ran over, picked up the tripod, pulled it up, pulled out the legs, and got it going again. And fortunately, the repurposing of that video, that section was edited out. Although I thought it was a great example of how things can go wrong.
And I was going to say, the more that we do this, the more we get used to the different things that are going on. Like today we're talking about the lighting because you were having the little lighting challenge with your shade.
Crappy lighting.
And I was sharing with you that I did a broadcast once with a good friend of mine. We had a number of people on, and I was working in my sunroom, which I really love to do in the summertime. The only thing I hadn't planned for is I'm usually not broadcasting in that time of day. Yeah. And I got 2 skylights up above me, and I was like between the 2 skylights. And what happened was, because I'm not used to broadcasting in that room, all of a sudden the sun was like directly over me, and just like washing me out completely because I would just get.
Did you feel like Jesus?
Oh, son, I felt like something.
St. John of New Hampshire.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like those are the things that if we're used to the locations that we work in and we do this regularly, those kinds of things adjust themselves over time or they go away. They're like fears that just kind of get taken care of as we.
I will tell you when it comes to moving equipment out. Actually, I feel very comfortable standing. I think one of our friends, Angela Langletz, does all of her broadcasts, but she has maybe 2-3 minute broadcasts standing. But it does give me the opportunity to use my hands. And one of the things that I came to recognize just recently from one of my 7-figure friends was making gestures can affect your audio in such a way that people really feel a difference in the energy. And that was just brilliant to me because I've done it in the past, but I hadn't thought of it because I guess sometimes when you're broadcasting live, you don't want your gestures to look too distracting that you suddenly come across as an Italian grandma, talking on the street corner of Genoa.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the other thing that's good about standing is, I used to be in a position where I used to have to make a lot of phone calls during the day. Working in finance, constantly calling clients and, potential clients. And I found that standing just gave me so much more energy.
Yeah.
It sounded so much better.
Yep.
It just made a huge difference. And same's true with broadcasting. So if you can stand or get a stand-up desk and do your broadcasting, especially, no reason you can't stand for 2, 3, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think when you start going into longer broadcasts that are an hour, but then again, I used to work on patients where I didn't sit for like a good 3-hour streak, and I was standing the entire time.
Yeah.
But because I was moving also, constantly, you can see, gosh, if I had an elliptical, I could do this.
You could.
So.
Yeah, and a lot of people will do, rather than standing, a lot of people will sit on an exercise ball, which is similar. You still have to move a little bit on the ball, which is better than sitting in a chair by a lot.
Yeah, because you're really strengthening your core at the same time, and it causes you to kind of move a little bit. I mean, not so much that your head's going to do this.
No.
But, and nor the bobblehead thing. Although I will say, with the balls, when you're first using those Swiss balls, you do tend to feel like you're about to fall over. And it's because we all run around with weak cores.
Yeah, and so if you were going to do that for your first broadcast, you might not want to, because if you fall,
I wouldn't do it.
That could look bad.
Yeah. So we've talked about, people doing their first broadcast. I think, at the very beginning, one of the fears is like, oh, all these people are going to see me and they're all going to ridicule me and it's going to be just plain awful. The reality is nobody's watching you, or very few people are watching you at the very beginning. So it's the perfect time to start is now, when you don't have a giant audience, or you can start just broadcasting to yourself or to maybe a couple family members, just to your narrow friends group, or only to a page that maybe has only 1 or 2 people, or just one yourself. Nobody says that you have to broadcast to the entire world when you're practicing.
Right, and we actually have practice groups for broadcasting for our clients and students, so that they, don't have to go to a unfriendly audience or to the.
Yeah, well, you have the 30 day
for the first run. I get the 30-day live
video challenge.
And we also do some videos in local market. We just started, Ed and I, doing some videos in local marketing strategies. So.
And I think that gives people the sense that they're going to be supported by fellow entrepreneurs who are very friendly and who aren't going to shoot them down. Now, I have seen in some groups, though, where some people did become hypercritical, and the administrator, actually the owner of the group, when the group is numbering the tens of thousands of people, had to come in and admonish these people just to be kind.
It happens.
And yeah, because people have agreed at the very beginning of your groups to follow the rules. And sometimes you have to remind people. But, once you get to the point where you have thousands of people in your group, you're going to be a seasoned professional when it comes to going live for your video marketing.
Indeed, you do.
Yeah. So let's see. What else did we want to talk about today? I knew I had my notes here for a moment.
Well, we're going to talk about confidence, and we did that a little bit. We talked a little bit about some of the unusual technical challenges.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my sticky notes like tech barrier.
Yeah.
The different platforms sometimes get a little bit confusing, and you have to, as you experiment with platforms, you come to recognize that the buttons are in different places. Like Instagram Live starts in one place, you start your broadcast, you finish in another place down in the opposite corner. And then you have to remember where to save your broadcasts and where to upload them to IGTV. Whereas I prefer platforms, I think you do too, where the start button and the stop button are in the same spot, because it becomes a lot easier to find.
Yeah, I a lot of that goes away with, like I said, the biggest thing is practicing. Yeah. Anything we practice, if something goes wrong, it's easier to recover from it. And the more you practice at anything, the better you get. So it doesn't really matter so much to me where the button is or whatever. As long as I practice with it enough, then I'm used to knowing where the button is. My muscle memory leads me to the button. In whichever way.
My muscle memory is not as good because I keep switching from Instagram, which is a totally mobile thing, to StreamYard and to the native apps. And so because I'm operating 3 different platforms, I actually do get a little confused. So I have to have a checklist to remind myself, even if it's 5 points. Remember this, remember that, remember this, remember that. In fact, we've come up with some checklists for broadcasting, but we'll be getting into that next week.
Right.
How people can use checklists for their broadcasts.
Yeah, just to make sure everything is set up correctly.
Yeah, I mean, just like an airplane pilot will go out and will utilize a checklist, a pre-flight checklist all the time.
Yeah, I use my pre-flight checklist every time I take the RV out of the driveway.
Exactly. You don't want to step on the gas and suddenly hit the road.
Oh no, I have no air in the tires, no gas in the thing. Yeah, exactly. You got to make sure you're ready to go.
You forgot to take it off the blocks.
The blocks? I didn't have any blocks.
those places I've seen back in Oklahoma or so, where you had at least, you had 3 vehicles, 2 of which were on blocks in your front yard. So
yeah. Or you live in a rough neighborhood. Exactly. You just never know. So yeah.
I was going to say, more than anything else, a lot of the stuff is your belief system and your willingness to get a little bit organized. You don't have to, so I created a little logo up here in the upper corner. I created some other things here. You don't need these little things. I just play around with Canva from time to time and try to create a little bit of brand awareness for the marketing happy hour, as well as for for one of our groups, for example, the logo is remarkably similar for health broadcasters. The group, we train doctors and other healthcare professionals to broadcast, to go live, and then to repurpose their videos for greater social reach and to be able to attract more patients and clients to their practices.
Right, so, which is near and dear to our heart because we're about to launch that.
Yeah, but we're going to get into that. Well, we're going to do a live video. I'm going to do a video series that we actually are recording. We're doing live broadcasts.
Yes.
But we have basically done the live broadcast, and then we were repurposing the live broadcast into an educational video series, which we're releasing shortly. And I, quite frankly, have forgotten what day we are releasing it. It could happen, what is it, Monday, Tuesday, or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
And that will be great for people to go in there, because we've been doing we started a number of them. And I think they really do take a deep dive into improving your expertise as a broadcaster to attract those patients and clients and prospective patients from your community.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I know, in my wife's practice, a lot of the videos we do have benefited her in some very unusual ways.
Oh, how so?
Well, we've got an acupuncturist who's a really good friend of ours. I'm particularly love this guy because he kept me alive for the last 10 or 15 years when I wasn't doing well.
People do that.
Yeah, and what happened was we did a video series together, and we created a video about some of the different things that he could treat, and so people would get to know him better. And it's so funny, the comments that we got back from some of our patients that said, oh, yeah, I realized that your husband did an interview with Andy, who's the acupuncturist. And she said, yeah, I'd love to go see him. I feel like I already know him because I watched your husband talking with him. So, I mean, those kinds of things can be just so huge for your business. And we just really don't think about those a lot.
Well, that's the power of video. I mean, you're talking in terms of the power of recorded video. I think the power of live video, it really revolves around the extreme engagement that you can have featuring people who come into your broadcast. You can put their comments up. You can answer questions live, which is a rare opportunity for a lot of people to reach business coaches like we are and actually have their questions answered without having to pay our hourly rate.
Sure. And I mean, just this interview series that we did, what a great reciprocity that was. We have a great referral relationship with some of the people that we work with in that arena. And, to be able to interview them and talk to them about different aspects of what they do and how they can benefit my wife's patients, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I can tell you for a fact that when I had a lot of videos up on YouTube for my practice in Washington, D.C., a lot of people, they'd watch my snow shoveling video, they'd watch my back pain, my work habits, the ergonomic videos. And when they came to the office, it was like, I feel I already know you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's tremendously powerful.
It's a great foot to step off on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think anybody who is not doing video, in particular, anybody who's not doing live video, is missing out on a really amazing opportunity. And for those of you who are health practitioners, who are doctors, I would strongly suggest that you put in a request to join our private membership. It's not private membership, it's just a private Facebook group, which is actually called Health Broadcasters. You can't miss it. There's a page which is called Health Broadcasters. And the reason the page exists is so that we can run ads and do certain things that you can't do within a Facebook.
People like that too, because that's good.
Yeah, like the page. I mean, like the page. I like the likes and stuff. I mean, the other thing that's great about live broadcasts too is you can get the little hearts and likes and even angry faces. At least you're getting engagement and reaction, and you'll find that your entire Facebook profile, the profile of your page, your personal profile, will have even a greater reach because the Facebook gods who run the algorithm recognize that you are one who is participating full out and going live, and you will be richly rewarded with a bit of extended organic reach. Now, it takes a little bit of time, as we've said before. It could take 5 months, 6 months before you get the maximum reach, but it's totally worth it, even if you're only doing 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute videos on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I mean, it really can make a huge difference.
Yeah. So join us in our group, like the page. Come on over and visit. We'll be sharing. If you go into the group, we'll be sharing more interesting videos and insights and posts. That's Health Broadcasters. If you just do the little search in your little Facebook bar, you'll find Health Broadcasters. That's where John and I hang out on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for a video challenge space that John runs, it's the 30-day live video. Is it marketing challenge?
No, video challenge.
Live video challenge. Sorry.
Right.
You have so many things going on. It's really sometimes.
And then we do our other group where we give local business advice, local marketing strategies.
Local marketing strategies. I need to post these sticky notes right on my screen so I remember all the different groups that we've got going on right now.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, and actually, now couldn't be a better time to be broadcasting. There's still a lot of people stuck at home or spending more time at home. And that's going to be continuing for a little bit longer, I assume.
And here's a marvelous thing about going live. If you are going live, don't worry if there are 0 viewers on any of your lives. That's probably a good thing. But every live that we do, if we have 10 people or 30 or 2 or 0, afterwards, it's the replays that get the most views.
They do.
Always the case. And so you're actually creating content just by talking. And the thing about it is, just think of it in terms of having a conversation with someone who may turn out to be your ideal client or patient, or your conversation with someone who may refer someone to you. I think that's the most important thing. And as John mentioned earlier, it's easy to start out broadcasting if you do it with a buddy.
Yeah, and it's easy too if you do it in smaller snippets.
Yeah, these are pretty long. We've done anywhere from 25 minutes to an hour, sometimes an hour and a half.
Sometimes.
Of course, I'm standing for X number of hours is probably going to get to me, but
we kind of like to talk.
What's that?
We kind of like to talk.
I do like to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too.
I like to listen too. That's why I really had my favorite part of any exam with new patients coming to the office was the consultation, because I got to ask them a lot of questions and find out their life story. Yep. And they were always really surprised at how many details I had that I would remember, even the 5th visit, the 10th visit, or the 30th visit. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my dad had that kind of a memory, but he also used to write notes in the patient record cards. He wrote them in ancient Greek letters, but in English, and nobody could ever decipher what they said except for him. So
that's pretty cool.
He wrote in code. So we don't want you to have to do things in code, so we're going to help you to crack the code with our live video series, which starts next week. So stay tuned for that. We're going to share it just about everywhere you can possibly imagine. And live broadcasting is just a habit. It's like putting on your shoes, brushing your teeth. You just have to get into it. Like John and I started back in March. I didn't do that many live broadcasts previously. I did a few here and there, but we went live every single day for like 5 or 6 weeks. And I think we just developed sort of a rhythm and a rapport. And you're going to find that you can do that with just about anybody. You can do it with somebody who's a member of your staff. Just have them interview you, even if they're off camera.
Yeah, I think it's really easy if you really immerse yourself in it at first.
Yeah.
You can always step back after a couple of weeks and go, whoa, that was kind of a lot. When you figure out what a lot really is, and then you can kind of narrow down what's reasonable and normal. But
I think reasonable and normal actually could be to go live for 365 days a year, but do it maybe for 5 or 10 minutes. The reason I say that is because I know a couple of people who podcast every single day, but their podcasts are in the range of 5 to 12 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
And it almost becomes a living diary of what's going on in your life right now.
Yeah, I always like that idea to do something along that line.
I mean, it's a bit of a marathon, but I think I'm pretty much up for it. I'm just reminding myself of what we had talked about back in March of trying that. I think we just petered out after 6 weeks, but 6 weeks is pretty good because we got into the habit. As you say, the habit is developed after 21 days. So anybody who starts broadcasting for 21 days in a row is probably going to start liking it and feeling more comfortable. And with that comfort, I would say, you kind of jump into your discomfort zone in order to find your new comfort zone, as opposed to your normal. It's your new comfort zone. It becomes easy. It becomes like a chiropractor adjusting a patient or a dentist filling a tooth. It's it's secondhand nature, or driving a car. We reach that point of unconscious incompetence. Well, actually, when you first start broadcasting, you're consciously incompetent. You know that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and over time, we develop a little bit of conscious competence. Yeah, I pushed the button the right time. I had my microphone not 45 feet away from me. I was looking at the camera, things like that. And then eventually you just get into the habit where I'm going to look at that camera right now. And most of the time I don't think twice about it. I see the little green dot on my MacBook and I just follow the green dot.
Yeah, same here.
Those are the things we're going to talk about in far greater detail. If you're interested in going live, if you're interested in mastering this skill, which really I do believe, actually we believe is essential in the coming years, because we're all going more and more virtual. This ain't our first pandemic.
No.
I hate to tell you that.
And content is much more video oriented, and it's only going to go more and more video oriented. So.
Yeah, I mean, the internet now is probably 70% video. It's going to go 80, 90% or more. And eventually it's going to get to the point where whoever can convert their video into the smallest usable chunks of data is probably going to win the whole live broadcasting game.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So with that, we will be back here next week for the live marketing happy hour. And it will be at 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Pacific, and noon Oahu time, you Hawaiian people out there. I still don't remember the Alaskan time. You're either 1 or 2 o'clock. I know Hawaii doesn't change because you guys have Hawaiian Standard Time. And there's only one of you, but I know that you're watching from Oahu. So that's why I remind you that we go live at noon on Wednesdays. All right. So until next time, when my voice recovers and the lighting may change, I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann.
And I'm John Paduchak.
And we'll be back here next week. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.